Hello, this is Miss Anne, and I brought many of the materials from my Montessori classroom home to my house as soon as I learned that I wouldn't be able to go back to school to be with my students during the coronavirus pandemic. And I'm creating this video to tell all of my parents that the most important thing right now is probably to be calm and to remember that preschool children don't necessarily need academics at all. One of the fantastic things about the Montessori method is that children tend to seek out academics because they want them. We prepare an environment that makes them feel like they have control over what they are and aren't doing and helps them develop initiative to go to the shelves and take work that they want. And in that prepared environment, we discover that many preschool children seek out learning how to read and how to do math and how to do the many things that are part of our culture and are important to academic progress. However, that doesn't also mean that academic progress is the most important thing for your child right now. Rather, the most important things for children at this age are developing autonomy and initiative. And it's really critical to remember that their brains are developing right now and that they need to be interacting with their environment in a way that helps them develop those brains positively so that they can take those brains into the future. Before the age of 6, what's going on when all of this, our brains are generating new synapses and growing and pruning, it's really a really critical time for your children. And spending that time with a parent standing over their shoulder, a parent who feels pressure to push academics, and having that parent force the academics on the child is not going to be best for the development of the child. And that doesn't mean that there isn't a great way to do academics at home. It does mean that feeling that you're stressed about the academics and your belief that that's the most important thing that happens right now is something that you can let go of, and that will be good for you and for your child. So, the other thing that's going on here is that you're in an incredibly stressful situation because you're stressed out about coronavirus, of course. None of us have ever experienced anything like this, and that stress is going to be pushing itself onto your children. And in addition to that, many of you are suddenly supposed to somehow work from home in order to maintain your income while you're taking on the job that I usually do. And I understand how difficult that job is more than anyone. And in addition, one of the primary concerns that parents come to me with is that they don't understand how to set limits and still make sure that they're very positive with their children. And my assumption is that, as I'm imagining you in your homes with your children, and I'm not just talking about the parents in my class, but the parents across the world who are in this new situation, is that there's a high likelihood that many of you are trying really hard to be calm and keep everything going really well and do all of the things that you know are right for your child, and that the child is probably creating chaos in your house, and that at some point you break and maybe you yell and maybe you do things you wish that you hadn't done, and then you feel guilty afterwards. And that it might be this kind of back and forth between a very permissive type environment where the children are doing about anything and a more authoritarian environment where you act like you don't want to act. And there's this bouncing back and forth between these two different scenarios. So I'm going to create some resources that can help you, first of all, learn how to prepare an environment that will work and make your work life easier because your child will be behaving in a manner that will help the child forward that child's development in a way that's positive for the child. And will also be behaving in a manner that's easier for you to handle. And then I'm also going to help you understand the skills you need in order to figure out how to create those limits so you don't have that bounce back and forth between anything goes and then you freak out because the house is a wreck and you're trying to work and you're stressed about coronavirus. And number 3, it's really, really critical that you learn some skills that work in the real world to manage your fear and your stress and your anxiety. And there really are things that can be done to help with this. And I am going to be creating some videos and some courses, etc., that you can use in this time, hopefully brief, with some really results-oriented strategies, a lot of how, rather than theory, although I'll add a little theory too, but that will really help you through this time period. So stick with it. I know this is hard, and best to all of you.